really important day in our church family, and it's one that I've been looking forward to for quite a long time. This is our Martin Luther King Jr. Weekend around here, and if you're kind of newer to our church, you may not know that this is a really important part of our vision as a church, is we want to be a place where everyone feels like they're right at home. Everyone. Doesn't matter what their background, what their ethnicity, that we all are at the same place, are equal, and that we all have a place to have fellowship, often in a way that people don't even understand, because of worshiping our name in the name of Jesus Christ. And that's our vision. And we're going to hear a little bit of a story from a man who's become a good friend of mine in the last year, a decent friend. He probably wouldn't say good friend. I don't over-assume, but just an incredible guy. And so we welcome my good friend Solomon to the stage. Solomon, good to see you, man.
And we are good friends, man.
All right, okay. You know. I try not to lie at all, but especially not on stage, So just want to be very, very honest. Well, first of all, the first thing I actually notice about this guy is he always dresses so nicely. So once again. So, well, Solomon, man, you guys don't know this guy's story. We've been here a little bit. I mean, we could spend like the entire day just seeing how God has woven incredible things in your story, but I think to start off, if you could tell us a little bit about what it was like. Solomon actually grew up in Pakistan for the first, I think it was about 11 years of his life. You can share a little bit about that, and especially about some of the persecution that you experienced as a Christian growing up in a Muslim country.
So like Pastor Todd said, it's a privilege to be here, first of all, but growing up in a country like Pakistan, where the majority is Muslim majority, there's only 2% of Christians in the country, and so you can understand the kind of persecution that Christians go through. There are villages that are killed at one spot at one time. Recently, my uncle is also a pastor of a church, and 2013, there was a huge bombing done right before the service as the worship team was getting ready, and there was volunteers in the building. About 200 people passed away, and there's still people now.
I just want to pause. Can you guys imagine that?
Yeah.
200 people.
Yeah.
And, as I've gotten to know a little bit of your story, it does just make me feel grateful for the freedom we have. And I know we do not have a perfect country by any means, but grateful for the freedom we have to worship, and also want to pray for those who are being persecuted.
Yes.
And anyway, I think it's just an important thing to underscore that there are people who are gathering for the sake of Jesus Christ who are in really, really hard places. I just wanted to
Absolutely, and I think it's a blessing. We're all looking for the American dream. We're all looking for perfect lives, but perfection is just perception, right? And so the kind of freedom that my family and I feel here in this country to just be in a facility like this and to worship God is amazing. So as I said, in Pakistan, there's a lot of persecution that happens, and these 200 people that have died, they're continuously throughout the years, there are more people dying because the bomb particles that were poisonous for your body went into their body, and they're living with the fear of dying any minute because they will poison you and you will die from it. So growing up in an environment like that is pretty scary, and God had given me faithful parents that have always led me and infused God into our lives immensely. My parents were very well-to-do in Pakistan, and Christians in Pakistan do not have the same opportunities as the other majorities do. And with saying that, my dad was a very successful businessman with a license, and he actually made history getting the license to do construction, building for himself, and to do as business and construction. And just being that prominent Christian and being that face for the Christian community, he was always there, helping churches, either financially or morally, or being there for the community to help them. He actually was part of building a church himself, as this church was going through a lot of persecution, as they didn't have walls or they didn't have windows. The non-believers would come by and mock them, and fights would break through. And they came to my dad, and my mom came to him and said, God has been so faithful to us. He has given so much to us. Why don't we just build this church? Not just giving them donation, but let's build this church. So he was part of that, and I think because of that, I have seen and the infusion that I have in my life and my siblings have had, we've been able to serve in the capacity that we are now. Going into our life, we, close to 9/11, as that 2001 year, a lot of persecution started happening to my family. We would get threats through phone calls. We would get these gangs that would show up on our door, try to break into our house. We went through a lot of trauma, which, I was 10 or 11 at the time. You can imagine it can scar you for life.
I can't imagine. I can't even imagine, honestly, how bad that would be.
And we were praying faithfully, and we were praying to God to show us a way, take us out of this misery, because our family wasn't around us. We needed somebody to take us out. And one day, miraculously, we find this FedEx papers outside of our house. And this was the U.S. immigration, the U.S. government inviting my dad, and they're calling these men and women, successful men and women in business, to come out to the U.S. and do their business here and migrate with their family to the U.S. It's like God had parted the Red Seas for us. So
that's awesome. Isn't that incredible?
Tell the story a little bit. Whenever you guys moved to the U.S. and you moved to a small town in Virginia, and you spent the next 11 years there, what was it like growing up in small town Virginia?
So the reason when we got our visas, we said maybe we'll stay in our country for a little bit, and then my brother, out of nowhere, gets kidnapped for one day, and this was a silent act of terror, trying to tell us, hey, if we can take him, we can also kill him. So my parents then said, no more. We're going to lock up our house, and we flee the country. And as we came to a small town in Virginia. It was in the Shenandoah Valley, if you guys know the area too well. It's in the south part of Virginia, so there's a lot of, no offense, white people, and
no offense taken.
Offense. Just throw that out there. I feel safe to say that here because we have the different ethnicities, but we were the only brown family. So, and this was November of 2001, right after 9/11, and the first comment that I get in a middle school, as a middle school child, is, do you know Osama bin Laden? And I didn't know how to take that. I took that as a joke, but honestly, they didn't know what baggage I was coming with. They didn't know who I was. They felt kind of unsafe with me. So I saw a lot of looks. I got a lot of shoulder shrugs. I got a lot of that. So that's how it was growing up there. Yeah.
Well, then again, I know, fast forward a little bit from there. Now, a year ago, you and your family, you start coming to our church in the midst of being a pastor of another church nearby. And here's your family, by the way. Isn't that an incredible family?
This is not a whole town, it's just my family.
Yeah.
My immediate family. I have 3 siblings, and then my sister-in-law and the little kids. So it's just my family.
Yeah, so you and your family come here, and then now you're doing ministry here. And tell us a little about how you got connected with us at Willow Creek Huntley, and then what that's kind of meant for the ministry that God has for you in this season.
Gosh, so I've been running a church as a pastor in charge. We planted this church about 6.5 years ago. Last year, we had the privilege of just coming to one of your services because a friend of ours had told us about Willow Huntley building a new location. We went to the high school looking for the church, and we went into the church. The first thing I will tell you that we saw and what kept us here is Pastor Todd was outside just greeting people in the cold weather.
Actually, I was probably inside the doors. At least I was today. So just, full confession. But
I do like to make things dramatic, so. So we met him, and that just warmed our hearts with just welcome and the gratitude that we have for the Lord and for the church, and sitting down and listening to Andrew and the team just worshiping. We felt like the heavens opened up, and God spoke to us and said, this is your church, this is your home. So we ended up staying. We have, as you know, we have our service at 2 that happens every Sunday. But recently, God has changed my heart after the 6 years, and I'm going to my original calling to do a little bit more apostolic ministry. So I've stepped down from being the pastor in charge from the church, and I will be traveling a little bit more internationally to Pakistan, Bangladesh, different Middle Eastern and different third world countries, to kind of go back and kind of tell my story and reach out to the people that really need hope, because these people may not have food at home, but they come and they long for God. And I'm blessed to have a family that is always there supporting me. So as a family, we'll be traveling, and my sisters and I, we are heavily involved in worship ministry, and I preach the word. So it's like God has given us the talent, God has given us the gifts to go out there and truly be the disciples that He has called us to be.
So we truly have an Apostle Paul in our midst. Isn't this incredible?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, God is doing for you and your heart. And I just pray for God's blessing and pray for God's favor. And will you just reach out your hand, if you're comfortable, just reach out your hand. I just want to pray for Solomon and for the incredible ministry God's called him to. God, I thank you for this incredible man of God. And again, he is my good friend. And man, I think of 2 Chronicles 16:9 that says that the eyes of the Lord scour the entire earth, just looking for someone whose heart is fully his so that he can throw his full support on him. And God, when I read that verse, I think of Solomon. His heart is fully yours. He wants to go to the ends of the earth, wherever you would call him to go. It doesn't even matter if he's safe or not, God. He wants to share the gospel. He wants to bridge divides. And God, I'm grateful for him. And I'm grateful for the example he is to me and to many people in our church. And I just pray for your blessing, your favor on his life and on his ministry. And God, I'm grateful for him. And I just pray that you can all just maybe stir up in us, as we've heard his passion, just a little bit more of our heart to break down walls and to tell people about the amazing love of Jesus. God, we thank you for him. We bless him in Jesus' name. Would everyone say?
Amen.
Amen. Let's thank Solomon one more time. Thank you.
And I love it when we have the opportunity to be encouraged by the stories of what God is working out in our midst. And it's incredible to see things like that. And now we have an opportunity to respond to this great God who is working out great things for his great kingdom. Let's respond from the bottom of our hearts in praise to him in a song together. Come on.